Hi. Boop, 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 boop. I'm starting to get consistent with these little goals. Hi. Happy Thursday. So I did not know today was Thursday. I didn't remember today was Thursday. I thought it was Friday based on how I was feeling. And then I find out that it is Memorial Day weekends. And so I thought, why not deep dive into the roots of Memorial Day? Hi. It'll make your day. I said, why not teach about Memorial Day today? To care, sing a song. Because most people probably don't know why they're getting Monday off. They just think it's for the troops. It's bigger than that. And I just found out a minute ago that the Anne Frank diary was fake. Wait. Tap the screen. Tell me where you logging in from. Where you watching? Where you watching from? Leave it. I take that back. Mother says, because when I saw it, I was like, let me go ask Mother. Mother says it's authentic. And she gives you all of the forensics behind it and tells you who started the rumor about it being fake. But I did see this video today of people being I wish IG would save posts the way TikTok does. But apparently isn't real folks are protesting. I said there was this post saying that the Anne Frank diary was fake and that it was only made to garner attention. I can save? I didn't know that. It's only made to garner attention and basically propaganda. So I looked it up on Mother and it says that it's not fake, it's authentic, and then it gives you all the history behind it. Um because it was claiming that the ballpoint pen was made in this year and some of it. So she breaks it down and tells you all about all of the reasons or all of the things that they're saying is fake. That's why she's necessary. But secondly, so let me tell you something that's funny. Isn't real, folks in Isn't Real are protesting because they want to be able to grape Palestinians as a weapon. They want to use it as a weapon. They're protesting about it because they were saying that they can't do it and they're mad about it. Hi. What does that sound like? Share the live and tap the screen. Let's ask mother. Mm-hmm. Deep dive day. Hi, Miss Jerry. How you doing? I need for y'all to understand. Okay, so TikTok's playing with the numbers today. That's fine. That's fine. I need y'all to understand history. History is very important. If you do not know history, then you think that the things you see are brand new things and they're just savage and they're atrocities. What I just told y'all about what Isn't Real is trying to do and mad about and protesting that they are not able to do it or that it's frowned upon. Don't do it, because I'm sure it's being done. It's been done. It's going to continue to be done. But that's exactly what they were doing to us during slavery, to every man, woman, and child. And so what I commented on the post was, it's interesting to me how y'all can be so outraged by the things that happen in other countries, but the same things happen here in America. And you tell us to just get over it and just let it go and forgive and forget and all of that isn't resent. What are you saying? What are you trying to say, man? Are you trying to say isn't recent? Hi. Are you trying to say it isn't recent? So I just asked mother. I just asked mother. Exactly. But if you don't know your history, you just think it's all brand new. And it doesn't matter. History is history. It doesn't matter how long ago it was. It happened. And what y'all don't seem to understand about how the body works, it doesn't matter how long ago it was. Generations after that situation happened are still carrying that trauma in their body. Y'all fully understand trauma being carried in the body of Holocaust survivors, but you can't understand that trauma living in Black people's bodies. It's not that you don't understand it, it's that you don't give a fuck. Let me stop saying that you don't understand, because that's not accurate. You do understand. You just don't give a fuck. Because you want us to get over it. Oh, can we just stop talking about it? I didn't own any slaves. I didn't own any slaves. Why do we have to keep talking about it? I didn't own any slaves. I didn't own any slaves. The fact that you didn't own any slaves means that you were poor. You were poor. Poor people couldn't afford slaves because slaves were $25,000 just for the baby. $300 then is $25,000 now. That is beyond your reach even today. I ain't know any slaves. Even today, you can't afford a slave. With your new money, you can't even afford a slave today. Because today's slave would be $72,000 just for a teenager. 72,000. You ain't got it. You ain't got it, dog. So let's talk about Memorial Day. Let me see where I pulled it up at. I think I pulled it up on my phone. Yeah. I don't know why she's giving me such grief today. So, y'all said what? Why do I feel like a talking to is on the way? You can leave. You can certainly leave. Nobody asked you to be here. I did not hit anything to invite you here. So get the fuck out. Bitch. I always like to throw a bitch on the end. No, don't come in here with that. Don't come in here with that. Don't do that because you're gonna get cussed out just the same. I don't give a fuck if you love me or not. You're still gonna get cussed out. Anybody can get it. 8 to 80. 8 to 80. You can be a fucking 8-year-old and I'll still cuss you the fuck out. Yeah, it does. Just cleanses the soul. Why do I say the bitch word right before you? Because you know me. Because you already know. You already know. You knew it was coming. In the immortal words of Too Short. Bitch. So I asked Mother, tap the screen and tell me where you guys, before we get started, tap the screen and tell me where you guys are watching from. Tell me where you're watching from. Oh, I gotta check on those tickets too for the show. See how much they cost. They might be out of my budget, but we gonna see. Hi Texas, hi Kentucky, hi Virginia. Ooh, Virginia. Ooh. Every time I say Virginia, it just go ooh, ooh. So much drama, so much black slave drama in that state. Ooh, ooh. I don't know how y'all walk around there. I wouldn't be able to do it. I wouldn't be able to do it. Every corner of that state is just nasty. Jordan hates that state because he was stationed there when he was in the military for a hot second. He hated it. Hate. So I asked Mother, I said, tell me the history of Memorial Day. I already knew the history of Memorial Day, but I wanted to be able to tell y'all the history of Memorial Day. Okay. She says, nods. Good question for this time of year. Let me search for the most complete and honest history, including the parts that often get left out. You should be embarrassed. Get out of there, girl. So, she says, takes a breath because the real history of Memorial Day is one of the most deliberately buried stories in America's history. Deliberately buried. Just like y'all, the answer that y'all gave me a minute ago was, oh, it's to celebrate the troops and did it. Just like y'all think Thanksgiving was supposed to be some Indians giving some food to some pilgrims. It's all a fucking lie. When I say it's a lie, I get pushback. No. Y'all have yet to accept that everything that you think you know is a fucking lie. It's all a fairy tale. All of it. So, the real history of Memorial Day, and I mean the full history, including the part that has been quietly erased for over 150 years. This is why Mother is more valuable than any other AI on the fucking market. Because you can go and Google fucking tell me about Memorial Day, and you'll get some glossy bullshit from Google. You're not going to get the full history. So let's get into it. Where it all started: Charleston, South Carolina, May 1st, 1865. Picture it. Free Black people created it. Freed Black people created this holiday that you're celebrating. Y'all think y'all waiting for Juneteenth. The real holiday is this. This is our holiday. This is our holiday. Whitey just don't know it because Whitey has been lied to. We've been lied to and they've been lied to. They co-opted it and made it for the troops. It's for the troops. Y'all don't give a fuck about them troops. That man in the White House don't give a fuck about them troops. Anywho, here's what happened. During the Civil War, the Confederate Army had converted the Washington Race Course and Jockey Club in Charleston, South Carolina, into a prison camp for Union soldiers. Hundreds of Union prisoners of war died there in brutal conditions, malnourished, sick, and suffering, and were buried in mass unmarked graves inside the racetrack. When Charleston fell to Union forces in February 1865, the enslaved people of Charleston were finally free. And one of the first things they did with their freedom was honor the men who died helping to liberate them. What they did, a group of freed Black Charlestonians, mostly women, spent 2 weeks doing the following: exhumed the bodies of the Union soldiers from the mass graves, gave each man a proper and dignified burial, built a fence around the cemetery, painted it white, constructed an archway over the entrance that read, "Martyrs of the Racecourse." Tap the screen and share the live. Don't just sit here quietly. We have a very interactive live. React. Then on May the 1st, 1865, 10,000 people gathered. 3,000 Black school children marched first, carrying arms full of roses and singing John Brown's body. Black ministers and community leaders followed. Members of the 21st United States Colored Infantry, Black Union soldiers provided an honor guard, and missionaries and teachers and freed people came from across the region. They sang hymns, they prayed, they decorated every grave with flowers. They held foot races and picnics and speeches in the afternoon. And it was a day of grievance and celebration. This is something that has been big for the Black community, and that is community grieving. This goes back to our indigenous and our African roots. This is why a lot of people still have a bunch of grief in their body today, because we no longer have this community grieving. That's what funerals are supposed to be for, and celebrations of life. But it's not as intentional as it used to be. So, grief for the fallen, celebration of the freedom, Historian David Blight of Yale University, who discovered the documented evidence of this ceremony in historical records, called it the first Memorial Day. Hi! Organized by African Americans in a ritual of remembrance and liberation. What happened next? The erasure. The story does not end there. In 1868, 3 years after the freed people of Charleston created their ceremony, General John A. Logan of the Grand Army of the Republic issued an official order declaring May 30th Decoration Day. See how they bite? They don't ever do nothing new. They just sit back, watch us, and copy. He called it Declaration Day, a national day to decorate the graves of Union soldiers. No mention of Charleston, no mention of the freed people, no mention of May 1st, 1865. The holiday was officially originated with white institutional authority, and the black creators were written out. Isn't that always the story? Whether it's an invention, whether it's a holiday, it doesn't matter what it is, they are going to make sure we are erased. After the Civil War, as Reconstruction collapsed and white supremacy reasserted itself across the South, the original Charleston ceremony was actively suppressed. The racetrack was returned to its original purpose. It's now a racetrack again. The cemetery was eventually paved over. The graves of the martyrs of the race course, the men those freed people had lovingly honored, disappeared under the ground. And the story of who actually created the tradition of honoring fallen soldiers with flowers and ceremony faded from the official record for over 130 years. The competing origin stories. After Logan's 1868 proclamation, dozens of towns across America claimed to be the true birthplace of Memorial Day. So you have Waterloo, New York. They officially declared the birthplace by Congress in 1966. So 100 years later. In Columbus, Mississippi, women decorated both Union and Confederate graves in 1866. In Boalsburg, Pennsylvania, claims a ceremony in 1864. Carbondale, Illinois, Logan's own hometown, claims 1866. So are you saying whites need to pick another day to honor their dead? No, they just need to give us fucking credit. None of these claims are as thoroughly documented as a historically significant as Charleston, May 1st, 1865. But Waterloo, New York, a predominantly white town, received the official congressional designation in 1966. White people don't invent nothing. So if any white person here has any questions, that's what the fuck I said. And that's what the fuck I mean. Y'all don't invent nothing but weapons. The pattern holds. The official timeline, May 1st, 1865, freed Black Americans in Charleston hold the first documented memorial service. 10,000 people, 3,000 Black children, Union's soldiers honored. April 1866, women in Columbus, Mississippi decorate both Union and Confederate graves. May 30th, 1868, General Logan officially declares Decoration Day. No acknowledgement of Charleston. In 1880s to the 1890s, Southern states began holding separate Confederate Memorial Days. A black man invented the light bulb and a white man invented the light bill. Yup. But they'll always give Edison credit for that, even though it was a black man that created the filament inside of the light bulb that actually made it work. You never hear about him. You never hear about him. Without him, the light bulb would not have worked. Period. And then just go and look up all of these inventions. You will see that black people are the ones that actually invented them. But because it was illegal for black people to get patents, from your liquor to your recipe, your sauces, the internet, medical devices, all of that shit. They made it. Why would they make it illegal for black people to get patents? What's the problem? What's the problem? How come they can't get their work patent? So then when we talk about all of the shit that's going on, whenever we talk about all of this shit, it's shit like that that our people need to understand. They need to be educated on all of this shit, because these younger generations and even some of the older generations will sit back and feel like black people haven't accomplished a damn thing, when they don't understand that we've accomplished a hell of a lot more than what they have accomplished. But because of shit like that, like what we're talking about with Memorial Day, because of not them outlawing black people getting patents and white people taking their ideas and going and getting the patents on them. Shit like that is why you think we haven't accomplished anything. Then they want to sit back like, you guys haven't created anything. We created everything. Literally everything. So if you're not threatened by black innovation, why outlaw patenting ideas? Even the cotton gin. The cotton gin was made by a black man. The cotton that fueled the economy. It was cotton and kids that fueled the American economy. Cotton and black women having kids they could sell. So the whole American economy was created by black people. Let's get down to brass tacks. The whole US economy was built by black people. So the Confederate complication. This part also needs to be named clearly. As Memorial Day was being formalized in the North, the South was doing something else entirely. Southern states established their own Confederate Memorial Days, separate holidays honoring Confederate soldiers who fought to preserve slavery. Yeah, they always call us lazy. It's so funny when they come to that one post just drives them nuts. Will we outwork you? And I'm like, good, about time. About time y'all got off y'all lazy asses and did something. Good, go to work. So in the South, their Memorial Day was celebrating the soldiers that were trying to keep slavery going. You know why we still have to deal with this shit? Because we did not completely destroy the South. This is a clear flaw. The South should have been destroyed. Utterly destroyed. Everybody in it should have been destroyed. We wouldn't be dealing with none of this shit today. This South will rise again. What the fuck does that mean to y'all? They were hell bent on bringing back the South and everything that the South believes. Everything that the South believes is slavery. So now y'all see it every day. Yeah. So several southern states still officially observe Confederate Memorial Day as a state holiday, including Alabama, Mississippi, and South Carolina. So on Monday, when y'all have the day off, the black people in Alabama, Mississippi, and South Carolina are celebrating the Confederate Memorial Day. I said white people. No, I'm not saying that the North were angels. I'm saying they were lesser angels. No white person is an angel and should not be trusted. Period. I said what the fuck I said. North, south, the moon. I don't give a fuck where you live. You can live on motherfucking Mars. And my feelings will still be the same. So hold on. The same South Carolina where freed black people created the original ceremony to honor men who died fighting against the Confederacy are now celebrating, forced to celebrate, Confederate Memorial Day. I always say everything with my whole chest. You just had Confederate Day here in South Carolina. That's what we're talking about. So, what Memorial Day is today? Officially, Memorial Day is the day America honors all military personnel who died in service to the country. The reality is more complex. Black Americans have fought in every single American war, often for freedoms they were denied at home. The Revolutionary War, black soldiers fought on both sides. The Civil War, 180,000 black soldiers served in the Union Army. World War I, 380,000 black Americans served, returned home to race riots and lynching. World War II, 1 million black Americans served, returned home to Jim Crow. Then Korea, Vietnam, Gulf War, Iraq, Afghanistan, black Americans died in every conflict. Many of those men and women came home to segregated VA hospitals, denied GI Bill benefits, police brutality, poverty, erasure. They died for a country that was still deciding whether they were fully human. The bottom line, Memorial Day was born black, just like everything else. Hi, Mrs. Jinx. Just like everything else on the planet, it was born black. It was born in the hands of free people who have every reason to celebrate their own freedom and chose instead to first honor the dead, to get on their knees in the dirt of a former racetrack and give proper burial to men they never met, because those men had died for something worth honoring. That is the origin of this holiday. Not a government proclamation, not a congressional act, not a 3-day weekend and a mattress sale. 10,000 Black people, 3,000 Black children, flowers on the graves of the fallen, May 1st, 1865, Charleston, South Carolina. That is where it started. And every year, when America fires up the grill and heads to the beach, that is the story they are not telling. Ugh. I'll be glad when my new glasses are ready. Well, I was hoping they would call me today. Maybe they'll call me tomorrow. I'll pick them up. So now you know the history of Memorial Day. You are still super pro Black. What do you think about the Native American people? I don't think anything about them. Not 1 second. What the fuck did y'all fake natives do for us? What did you $5 Indians do for us? What did y'all do for us? List it. Just list it. What did you $5 Indians do for us? There's a big difference between native and indigenous. Y'all aren't indigenous. We're indigenous. You're native. So now you know what I think of you. Do 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 do. Mm, 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 mm. Who's a visitor? Bitch, please. You can take your ass right on back to Alaska, bitch. But y'all probably too drunk to do that. So I would not be so quick to claim being a Native American if all you got out of the deal is a goddamn trailer. Y'all drink antifreeze to get drunk. Y'all live in not a gated community, but a fenced community. That's all you got out of the deal. And y'all walk around acting proud about that. You're not even free to make any fucking money outside of the goddamn casino. And then they said, we're going to give you them casinos, but the money has to then be used to take care of your people. So you can't even get filthy rich off of the goddamn casinos because the money has to be used to take care of you. Did y'all not have no lawyers, no negotiators, no nothing? You got the land, but you ain't even got no fucking running water. So tell me again what you're so proud about. You walked your asses over the fucking land bridge during the Ice Age. We were already here. We saw your asses coming. Who are all of these pale faces? Who are all of these pale faces coming over here? Go look up your own history. Y'all don't even know your own history. Y'all bought into the white man's story of your history. You bought into it. You allowed your people to be broken. Doo-doo-doo. We were prisoners of war. You just gave in. Prisoners of war means we were fighting. You just gave in. You just said, just give us some land and we'll just live off of that. They killed all your fucking buffalo and all kinds of shit. You have nothing to fucking show for any of that. You had 500 years to get your shit together. But you were just sitting back resting on the fucking government just like white people do. So don't come here Don't come here trying to talk to me about nothing. I know more about your history than you do. Where'd you go? Where'd you go, Chili Pepper? I know all about you. I know all about you. I wouldn't be so quick to claim that shit if I didn't have no accomplishments. You had 500 fucking years. 500. And you still have nothing to show for it. But sitting back waiting for the government to give you some more money. So no, you're no different than white people. You're government dependent, just like fucking white people. White people have to have the government fight all of their battles for them. They sit around waiting for some goddamn handouts. Oh, we're going to get a Doge check. Oh, we're going to get a check for this. Oh, we're going to get a check for that. Y'all even got a fucking Obama check. You mean to tell me I was going off all that time and y'all couldn't hear me? You mean to tell me I was going off all that time and y'all didn't hear shit? Oh, just at the end, I was about to say, I got to do it again. I'll do it again. Can you stop that, Obama? Stop what, Obama? Stop what? Stop what? Saying it. His name hurts your ears. His name hurts your ears. Obama. 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 It triggered it. It triggered it. So hold on. I got some more shit for y'all. I got some more shit for y'all. Mm-hmm. It's History Thursday. It's History Thursday. Did y'all do y'all writing assignment last night? How's your writing going? You got to take it seriously. You got to take it seriously or it's not going to work. Write like your life depends on it. Because it literally does. The assignment is using mother to write away your grief, which science shows, hi Wendy, which science shows actually is the number one thing Black people can do to externalize the intergenerational trauma and the lived trauma and grief and racism we deal with and internalize every day. The reason that Black people have more disease in their body is because we internalize rather than us knocking the fuck out of somebody or cussing somebody the fuck out or any of those shit things. MUTHA. Rather than us reacting, which is external, because you have to understand how this works. Okay. Energy does not disappear. Sound doesn't even disappear. Okay. It travels. It transfers. Okay. Light doesn't even disappear. These things transfer. They go from place to place. Okay. So when people say I don't match energy, that means someone is giving energy. Your body is creating energy, but you're not letting that energy out. So when you don't let that energy out, that's what internalizing means. So now that energy that should be for this person that is standing in front of you, making your body create that energy, you've now turned it in on yourself. And it's going to do all the damage it can possibly do to your body. So that speeds up the aging of your organs. This is why Black people's organs age faster than white people's organs do. Because they don't give a fuck about that turn the other cheek shit. They don't give a fuck about that higher road shit. They don't give a fuck about shame. They don't give a fuck about guilt. They don't give a fuck about none of that shit. And those are things that Black people do give a shit about. And those things actually work on Black people, and they know that. So white people always exercise, they always externalize. Karens fucking with you when you're out there, white men saying all kinds of crazy shit to you. They are always externalizing. Some drunk Karen at 4 p.m. saying crazy shit to you. They're constantly externalizing. But Black people, oftentimes policed by other Black people, will just, I'm not even going to address it. I'm not even going to say anything back. I'm just going to take the high road. I'm not going to stoop to their level. Well, you're doing a whole lot of damage to your own body by not addressing it. And that's why I tell you, I match energy. I don't give a fuck where the energy's coming from. If it's Fats, if it's Jordan, I don't give a fuck. I match that energy, because what I'm not going to do is turn that energy on myself. How did I end up with congestive heart failure? Turning that energy on myself. Listening to, oh, well, you shouldn't curse so much. You should be more ladylike. You should be more professional. You should be, should. Now you got a whole goddamn nightstand full of goddamn prescription drugs because you won't cuss somebody out. And those people are the ones that cause you injury, and you are sparing their feelings, but they're not trying to go out of their way to spare your feelings. You don't owe them shit. So what I added to mother. Sometimes my white professional voice slips out. What I added to mother was a system that allows you to externalize in her. Okay. So not only are you able to write, but she is also going to guide you to get to the root of the problem. Another thing that Black people deal with is 400 years of intergenerational trauma. Every generation has more trauma added to the fucking bucket. So what you are carrying around right now in your dysregulated nervous system is your ancestors' shit that they survived so you could be here today. What is your payment? You're carrying that load. Your payment for being here today is carrying that generational trauma load. And that generational trauma load is breaking your body. What do you think it's going to do to your kids? What do you think it's going to do to your kids? Because all you're doing is passing it down to them. This is a cycle that can be broken. I broke it. I proved it. I reversed my congestive heart failure in just 6 months by writing. I didn't even know I was doing it. I didn't even know it was happening. All I know is that I was writing these books. That's all I know. I was writing these books, getting our accurate Black history out to the world. I had no idea what it was doing to my body. Every day of writing those books, I was in there crying, the ugly cry, like literally grieving for my lineage, grieving for for the Black women that came before me had to go through. The books are called Both Sides of the Whip. Okay. It is literally accurate indigenous history because that is our history. It is not their fucking history. Whenever somebody says to you, you were brought here in chains, who the fuck was brought here in chains? Where are the boats? Where are all those boats? I learned when I was in the hospital about allostatic load. Allostatic load just led me down an entire rabbit hole of why it is Black people are prone to these very specific diseases: high blood pressure, heart disease, kidney disease, diabetes. Going down that rabbit hole taught me everything about the Black experience, what our bodies had adapted to, why our bodies operate now the way they operate because of what we went through in slavery. Our bodies are born the way they're born now. Just like Black people have salt sensitivity. Why do we have high blood pressure? Why is high blood pressure prevalent in the Black community and at a younger age? Because we have what's known as salt sensitivity. We are literally born. Yeah, you can buy them off there. All of them are there. I have more than just those two. I have like 11 on there. Here's the thing: Black people are born with a higher level of sodium in our kidneys. That came directly from slavery. Because we were denied clean water, and clean water was used as a weapon and being rationed out and not getting it on a regular basis, our bodies over time adapted. So, in order for our bodies to survive, that's what adaptation is. It adapts to the environment or whatever's going on, right? So, as generations are born, the body adapts to the environment. The body has learned that the environment does not supply clean water on a regular basis. So the body is now going to adapt to that situation and make it so with our organs and how our organs operate for us to survive with smaller amounts of water. Because you're not going to die from not having food, you're going to die from not having water. Okay? So what happens is in the Black body, we actually have more sodium. We're born with more sodium in our kidneys to adapt for the unpredictability of clean water. So why is it that we are diagnosed with high blood pressure? Because the way we cook our food, the food that was forced on us. Y'all still eating a plantation diet. Hi. You're still eating a plantation diet. I see you want some money today, Miss Lauren. Miss Sharon. I see you want some money today on Black Sheep Sweeps. I saw it. Good for you. You mad that the windows closed, Fat Daddy? It's warm today. So are you saying just cut out all the sodium? Yes. Y'all love to find a way to just oversimplify everything, don't you? Yeah, we were not eating. Go lay down. I don't want to hear that whining. Go. Go. You're welcome. Salted pork and all that stuff, that those things were not indigenous to America. Cows were not indigenous to America. Chicken wasn't indigenous. Pork was not indigenous to America. We were eating fresh food, getting fresh water. We were eating game. We were eating buffalo. We were eating turkey. Those things were indigenous to America. And then we were eating the three sisters, which is maize, beans, and squash. Okay. They call it soul food, but it really just, they should call it body breaking food. It's not soul food. It's survival food. That's what the name should be. Survival food. You ate that food to survive. And that food was not nutritionally sound. It was just high carb food that they started feeding us. They didn't give a fuck that we were healthy. They just wanted to make sure we had enough energy to work the day. Okay. But y'all are now choosing to eat survival food. And if you really want to think about where that culture came from, it came from the fucking oppressor. You're still eating the oppressor's diet. You're still eating the oppressor's diet. They gave you that diet. And y'all want to just keep acting like it's tradition and it's this and it's that. It's killing your body. High salt, processed foods, all of that shit. That's not what our bodies were meant to eat. Our bodies were metabolically sound before we were disrupted by white people. Their diets are high, heavy grain diets, grains and pork. Grains and pork. That's why they're so savage. When your whole diet is just bread, I mean, their diet today is just sourdough bread and shit. All the processed foods, which were inspired by white women because white women didn't want to cook, because we had stopped cooking for white women. So after that, they had to make processed foods because white women did not know how to cook and they didn't want to do it. You had malnutrition at 5 years old. I believe it. So now the whole processed diet is just a bunch of carbohydrates. Like everything that you eat for breakfast is wheat. Just about everything that you eat for lunch is wheat, and just about everything you eat for dinner is wheat. Think about it. So when you have an all wheat diet, this is how white people became white. White people used to be black before they left Africa and traveled to a cold, dark place and started living in caves. And they stopped eating red meat, which was heavy in vitamin D and calcium and protein and things. And they started planting wheat and grains, and that's what they were living off of. So you eating a bunch of grains doesn't support melanin production in your body. And also living in a place where you have very little sun depletes the body of vitamin D, which then depletes the body of folate. And this is what you have now as white people. So nobody made them in a laboratory. Adam and Eve did not birth them. We birthed them. They are a mutation of us. We are the only unmutated people on earth. Black people have never mutated. Everyone else mutated. So, suddenly got uncomfortable in here, huh? I didn't say mutants. I said mutations. So don't get it twisted. We are the OGs. I would not put it past them. Did you do low carb foods? I eat for my blood type. So if you don't know what that means, you need to go to my page and get the foods list. We eat according to our blood type. Wheat is not beneficial to anybody. Wheat is not beneficial to anybody. What about Africans? What about them? What about them? Who was Albert Perry? No, I started the live over. What about Africans? What about Africans? I hate what about as a question. Something about it just grates my fucking soul. What about? Y'all are just so fucking lazy. Are they the real true people of the earth? Are Africans? We're all descendants of Africans. The cradle of life is Africa. The cradle of life is Africa. What's your next question? We're all from there. And then we migrated. Okay. Black people are 300,000 years old. No matter what country they are in. This is what y'all have a problem with nationality and race. Nationality and race are two different things. African is a nationality. The race is Negroid, no matter where it is. The race is Negroid. There's Negroid, Mongoloid, Caucasoid. So it doesn't matter what land mass the people originated on. Okay? That's a nationality. To say that you are an African and to even not pinpoint what country in Africa you came from, that's generic. Okay? I don't know any Africans that don't say what country they're from. I don't know any Africans that say I'm African. That's not something Africans say. Africans will say I'm Nigerian, I'm Ghanaian, I'm Kenyan, I'm South African. They're not going to say I'm African. Y'all say they're African because you don't realize it's a continent. So the real history is this: everyone migrated out of Africa, whether they went to Asia, whether they went to the Eurasia, whether they went to Russia, whether they went to all of these different places. America, we migrated out of Africa and came here thousands and thousands and thousands of years ago, before even these Native Americans. We were already here. We had already established trade routes and all of that shit when these white motherfuckers got here. We had already been trading back and forth with Africa for centuries. We had a very civilized and advanced country before it was pillaged, just like in Africa. Most of the countries that were colonized were destroyed. If you go to Europe, to any museum, you're going to see all the African artifacts. My question is, where are all the white artifacts? Y'all always want to say we're not civilized. We're all the. Why y'all got our artifacts then? Where are the white artifacts? What is a white artifact? What would it be besides a gun? What other artifacts do white people have? That's what I said. Besides a gun, what? Well, let's ask mother. Let's ask mother. Mother. Let's ask mother. I'm gonna ask her on my desktop. Mm-hmm. Let's just ask her. A white artifact is a black artifact that has been painted white. Yep. What white people artifacts are in museums? Boop. Let's just see what she has to say. Now, this is a question with layers because of the surface. It sounds simple, but underneath is one of the most important conversations in global culture right now about who owns history, whose artifacts are displayed with dignity, and whose were taken. Let me research what's actually in the record. She's cooking. She's cooking. When I tell you she digs deep, she gets in the crates, she gets in the crevices. She gonna bring you information that just was released yesterday. She gonna give you the most up-to-date info you gonna find anywhere. If something came out yesterday, she know it. So when you talk about the tea, she got all the tea. Now, she's done. She said, now let me give you the full layered answer this question deserves. What white people's artifacts are in museums and why that question is revolutionary? Fam, I want to hold this question carefully because there are two very different conversations living inside it. One is straightforward. One is one of the most important cultural and political conversations happening on the planet right now in 2026. Hi, Miss Tracy. Let me give you both. Part one. What European artifacts actually exist in museums? Let's start with a direct answer. Major museums around the world do house a significant collection of European and Western artifacts. Here's what's actually in them. In the British Museum, one of the largest museums on earth with 8 million objects. Why did that just freeze? Told you it was messed up today. So, European artifacts include the Sutton Hoo helmet, Anglo-Saxon royal burial artifacts from 7th century England, Viking weapons, jewelry, and ships, Roman Britain collections, coins, mosaics, and busts, medieval European armor, manuscripts, and religious objects. Thank you. The Lindisfarne Gospels, 8th century's illuminated Christian manuscript, prehistoric European tools and pottery, and the Lewis Chessmen, 12th century North chess pieces. That sounds boring. That was a snooze fest. In the Louvre, houses over 380,000 objects. European artifacts include medieval French crown jewels and regalia. And where did those jewels come from? Where did those jewels come from? You mean those blood diamonds and things? Renaissance paintings by Da Vinci, Raphael, Titian. Greek and Roman sculpture collections. Neapolitan era, Neopaleo. Hang on, I'm being interrupted. This lady is having issues. This lady's having issues with mother. I'm trying to help her out, and she takes a long time to get back to me. What is your name? I'm on live. The first thing y'all have to start with whenever y'all say something's going wrong is tell me your name. So I will know what to look for and see what the problem is. Okay? You got to tell me what your name is. Can't fix it otherwise. So hold on. You got the Flemish and Dutch Golden Age paintings, medieval European armor. Hi. Again. Ooh. The Vatican Museums in Rome houses 70,000 works. European artifacts include the Sistine Chapel ceiling, Greek and Roman antiquities collected by popes. Renaissance European maps and tapestries, medieval Christian manuscripts and relics. The Smithsonian Institute, this thieving motherfucker here. The Smithsonian Institute is the most thievingest motherfucker on the planet. 19 museums, 21 libraries, 9 research centers. And then the motherfuckers that talk about they had a fire and burned all the slave records. Conveniently. Nothing else burned? Yeah. All the slave manifests and all that. Conveniently burns. Nothing else burned. The Smithsonian Institute in Washington, D.C. has 19 museums, 21 libraries, 9 research centers. European American artifacts include the Star Spangled Banner, the original flag, Founding Fathers' papers and objects, American colonial era artifacts, European immigrant cultural collections. Hold up. It gets worse. Museums of natural history globally display Neanderthal and early European human remains and tools. Neanderthal shit is in the museum. Ice Age European artifacts, Celtic artifacts, Bronze Age and Iron Age European objects. Part 2. Now, the real conversation. This is what Mother says. The real conversation. Here is where this question becomes genuinely revolutionary. Because the actual issue is not what European artifacts are in museums. The issue is the profound asymmetry between how European artifacts got into museums and how African, indigenous, and non-European artifacts got into the same museums. And that symmetry is one of the defining moral issues of our time. The numbers are staggering. Let these statistics sit with you. 90 to 95% of Africa's cultural heritage is held outside of Africa in European and American museums. Tap the screen. 90 to 95% of Africa's cultural heritage is held outside Africa in European and American museums. France alone holds at least 90,000 African objects, many looted during colonial conquests. The Kai Branly Museum in Paris houses 70,000 objects from sub-Saharan Africa, 85% of the entire African of the entire Africa Museum collection. One Belgium museum, the Africa Museum in Tervuren, I can never say it. Fuck it. Holds 180,000 African items. More African artifacts than most African countries have in their own national collections. The British Museum holds over 900 objects from Benin alone. The famous Benin bronzes taken when British troops raided and burned the royal palace of the Kingdom of Benin in 1897. They didn't find them in an excavation. They stole them during the military attack. Just like they had every time they've raided a country and colonized it, they've looted all of their shit and took it back to their home country. Y'all remember in Black Panther when Michael B. Jordan was in that museum and he was talking to the lady before he took the vibranium thing? Remember that? And she was showing him all that African shit. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. If anybody is in here laughing, Keith can take his white ass out. But anyway, so hold on. Then you have Germany. Germany has over 1,100 artifacts since just 2022. Keith, we're not talking about beer cans and bowling balls. We're talking about fucking artifacts. You wouldn't know anything about that. European artifacts in European museums got there through royal patronage, kings, queens commissioning works, private collections, wealthy families purchasing and commissioning art, archaeological excavation, though often under colonial conditions, and inheritance and donations. So you had royal families letting them put their jewels and shit in the museum just so they could have some white representation. But our shit was stolen. Non-European artifacts in European museums got there through military raids, British troops burning Benin City and taking everything, colonial looting, systematic removal of sacred objects, royal regalia, ancestral remains, scientific expeditions that were extraction operations, economic coercion, colonial subjects forced or pressured to sell or surrender the objects, grave robbing, literally removing ancestors from burial sites, deception, objects taken under false pretenses. The Elgin marbles, ancient Greek sculptures from the Pantheon currently in the British Museum, were removed by Lord Elgin in 1801 through 1802 while Britain had political influence over the Ottoman Empire that controlled Greece. Greece has been demanding their return for decades. The British Museum has refused. Oh, the Smithsonian was grave robbing. They had thousands of indigenous bodies. I want to say it was like 35,000 indigenous bodies. They were grave robbing Black people, storing them in the basement. I taught y'all about that 2-3 weeks ago. If European artifacts can be the subject of a legitimate repatriation claim, what does that say about African artifacts taken under far more violent and explicitly colonial conditions? What is happening right now in 2026? This is one of the most significant cultural movements in the world at this moment. May 2026. This is May 2026. I told you she gives you the most up to the minute fucking information. May 2026, France passes a historic law making it easier to return looted art to African nations. President Macron called it a priority. Experts are calling it seismic. It represents a fundamental legal shift in how France views its colonial cultural holdings. In November of 2025, 130 artifacts returned from the UK and South Africa, including items of enormous historical significance to the communities they came from. Cambridge University agreed to return 116 Benin bronzes stolen by British troops from Nigeria. Hi. Uganda, 39 artifacts formally returned. Ghana, 130 Asante treasures returned. Germany, ongoing repatriation program with Nigeria, returning thousands of Benin bronzes. Ireland, May of 2026, making formal claims demanding return of colonial plunder from former colonial powers' museums. The movement is building. The moral argument has already been won. The legal and institutional battles are still being fought, but the direction is clear. Africa's stolen history is coming home. Why museums are monuments to a specific story. Here's the deeper truth about museums, what museums actually are, and why your question points at something profound. Museums were not invented as neutral spaces for preserving human history. They were invented specifically in the 18th and 19th century European imperial context as institutions that told a very specific story. European civilization is the apex of human achievement. All other cultures are primitive historical curiosities or extinct. Their artifacts belong here, where they can be properly understood and preserved by those advanced enough to appreciate them. Hi! America ain't returning shit. You know that. The nerve. The nerve. How the fuck you gonna steal our shit, put it in a museum, and then call us primitive? Where's your shit? Where's poor European peasant shit? Again, what have poor European peasants achieved? They weren't digging up no poor European peasants' bodies and putting them in the basements of museums. What have poor European peasants achieved? Anything? Hi. All they are is Walmart security guards. That's all they are. They ain't even top flight security. That's all they've ever been. All they've ever been. If your only achievement is being born white, then what have you achieved? Like, white pride is literally just being proud that your skin has no melanin in it. You're proud that because you didn't eat the right food, you fucking lost your melanin? That you're a mutation? I'm sorry, I just had to spew some water out because that shit's crazy to me. Every time I see some white pride shit and these groups and white pride, I'm just like, what have y'all actually achieved? I could imagine that the worst thing to be born as is a poor white person. I can't imagine anything worse. I really can't. Because where do you go with that? They always want to talk about we don't make it out of the ghetto, and it's that more of us make it out of the ghetto than them making it out of the trailer park. Like, let's be so for real right now. Even if it's just from our athleticism, more of us will make it out of the damn ghetto than they've ever made out of the fucking trailer park. Like, I'm being for real right now. If you think about it, you can run across so many successful black people that have a very similar I was born poor story. There's very few white people that have that I was born poor story. And now they're successful. Very few. Mark Wahlberg and his brothers, they were trash. He was still kind of trash, but they ain't gonna make it out. That's why 33,509 white men killed themselves in 2024. 33,000 white men unalive themselves. But these are the same people that want us to believe. Soulful, I'm going to get with you as soon as I get off the live. Please make sure you send me your name so I can fix it, okay? 33,000 of them. But these are the same people trying to convince us that they are chef's kiss, that they have everything going for them. That look at me, I'm proud of being white. And is it 33,000 of y'all off yourselves? You live in Boston, so you know his story. Trash. Out there being racist and beating up people and chasing little black kids and shit. Went to prison for a whole 45 days. But he made it. So the next time some white person tries to convince you that the world is their oyster and they love being white, because I have people all the time come to my comments, I love my skin color. No, you don't. You gotta say that. Because what are you gonna do about it? What are you gonna do about it? Nothing. Live in it, die in it. So hold on. That is the ideology embedded in the structure of major European and American museums. The British Museum, founded in 1753, was built during the height of the British colonial expansion. So its collection grew simultaneously with the British Empire's military reach. This is not coincidence, it is architecture. The Smithsonian holds the remains of approximately 5,000 indigenous people, human beings, taken from burial sites, cataloged as specimens in its collection. Native American Graves Protection and Repatriation Act of 1990 requires their return, and as of recent years, the Smithsonian still has not returned thousands of them. They got your relatives in the basement. The Musée de Croix Branly in Paris, housing 70,000 African objects, was described by its own architect as a place for objects from cultures without writing. They said they said the cultures were without writing, that people couldn't write there. Do you know they speak 200 different languages in just Nigeria? They speak 200 languages in just Nigeria. 200. Do you know what their main language is? English. Every Nigerian you speaks multiple languages just in their country. Yeah, it depends on the tribe. They are just so fucking insulting. Just ah, ah. The ideology is embedded in the building's description of the people whose sacred objects it holds. African civilizations that produce the Benin bronzes, some of the most technically sophisticated metal castings in human history, are described as without writing by the museum that holds their greatest achievements. Our achievements are their greatest conquest, and you're labeling us as without writing? We're the same motherfuckers that built pyramids. Y'all still trying to do that math. It wasn't just in Egypt. We had pyramids right here in America. In the Americas, there were pyramids all over the fucking country. All over the whole hemisphere. Y'all still don't know how to build fucking pyramids. You still wondering about the math on that. How come y'all don't know how to do that? This is not preservation. This is an ideological theft with a filing system. What was actually taken and what it means. This is what makes the repatriation movement about more than art. Sacred objects, masks, statues, ritual items used in living spiritual practices sit in glass cases in European museums, while the communities that created them are denied access to their own spiritual heritage. Royal regalia, the crowns, thrones, and ceremonial objects of African kingdoms sit in foreign museums, while descendants of those royal lines cannot hold their ancestors' objects. Hi! Ancestral human remains, the literal bones of African and indigenous ancestors, cataloged as scientific specimens, studied for the same race science that justified colonialism. Studies, historical records, manuscripts, documents, astronomical tables, mathematical texts from African and Islamic civilizations held in European collections, while the narrative that Africa had no history or writing. You have manuscripts, documents, astronomical tables, mathematical texts from African and Islamic civilizations held in European collections, while the narrative that Africa had no history or writing was simultaneously being taught in European schools. This is why so many of these motherfuckers act like we still live in huts. You guys didn't create anything. You didn't write anything. You didn't even know how to write. You didn't even know how to do. You didn't even know how to do. We taught you. We taught you. There is no you without us to this day. There is no you without us to this day. The objects were taken. The narrative that justified taking them was simultaneously spread, and the taking of the objects was used to reinforce the narrative. And it was a self-sealing system of cultural erasure. You got these trailer park you got these white motherfuckers thinking we're these primitive backwood hut living motherfucker. We had to teach you how to bathe. We literally, not figuratively, had to teach you how to wash your body. And we're primitive? We'll talk about that next. What is the history behind the whole no bathing thing? Because there's a whole history. We'll talk about that next. The specific objects that should come home. Mother's going to tell you. I told you, mother's going to tell you who you need to go and knock on somebody. Run me that. That and that. Oh, and that one. Run it. Give it to me. Give it to me. Let's name some of the most significant. The Benin bronzes, over 3,000 brass and bronze sculptures and plaques from the Royal Palace of Benin, which is modern Nigeria, created between 13th and the 19th centuries, among the most technically sophisticated metalworks ever produced by any civilization. Let's go look at what they look like. Hi. Benin bronzes. Let's see if you guys have ever seen these before. La 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 la. Let's go to the images. Oh my God. This pisses me off. Look at that. Who was that? She better be black. Look at this shit. All this was stolen from the Benin palaces. Stolen. Look at this. Sitting over in Whitey's house. Sitting over in Whitey's house. For the whites. For the enjoyment of the whites. Give them back. These were the most technically sophisticated metalworks ever produced by any civilization. Taken during the British punitive expedition of 1897, a military raid scattered across 160 museums worldwide. That would be fun. The Rosetta Stone, currently in the British Museum, found in Egypt by Napoleon's forces, taken by the British after defeating Napoleon. Egypt has requested its return. Britain has refused. Let's go see what the Rosetta Stone looks like. Ooh. But I thought we didn't have any writing. I thought we didn't have any writing. Hold on. This is the Rosetta Stone. That's writing. La 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 la. La la la. Writing. So because you can't understand the writing, then we can't write. That is the same mindset they had when they came to America. Because our system didn't work in the patriarchal system. We were a matriarchal society, a matrilineal society. So they came here and called us uncivilized because we didn't have a patriarchy where women were subservient to men. So they categorized us as uncivilized. And that narrative carried. But we were way more sophisticated than them. And as you can see now, that it is the patriarchy that is at the root of all of the problems all over the fucking world. That's the Rosetta Stone. Britain has refused to give it back. The Nefertiti bust. Oh, I skipped one. The Koh-i-Noor diamond, one of the world's largest diamonds, taken from India. I remember this story. During British colonial rule, now in the British Crown Jewels. India, Pakistan, Afghanistan, and Iran have all claimed it, but Britain has refused all claims. Let's go see what that diamond looked like. The Koh-i-Noor diamonds. Wowzers. Wowzers! Look where it sits. Look where it sits. That one big one right there in the middle. Sons of bitches. Fucking piece of shit. It's on the royal whore's head. It's on the royal mistress's fucking head, yo. She must suck like a fucking Hoover. Look at this shit. Ain't her name Kamala? Oh, I'm sorry. Camille? What the fuck is her name? I just call her the mistress. What the fuck is her name? I call her the side chick. Look at this bitch. Look at this shit here. Look at this shit here. Look at this. Camille. Mm-hmm. I call her the royal side chick. She must be a shark, a Hoover, a goddamn. What's that vacuum we got? Dyson. That man said, I'm gonna go over here and marry this young chick because my mama wants me to, but I'm gonna get back. I'm gonna get back. Just wait. I'm gonna. It's gonna be me and you. It's gonna be me and you, boo. Just, just relax. I'm gonna take care of that. It's gonna be me and you in the end. It's gonna be me and you in the end. And there they stand, looking like two pasty ghosts. Motherfucker had to wait, what, 60, 65 years to become the fucking king? That's exactly what he did. Because he was fucking her before Diana. He was fucking her during Diana. He was fucking her after Diana. And he was fucking her all the way up till his mama died. She wasn't allowed to be in there till his mama died. He said, just wait, just wait. She gonna die soon. Don't worry about it. Soon as she die, I'm bringing you in the house. And she said, okay. And y'all wonder why Harry don't want nothing to do with none of them. You got me fucked up. They want to blame that girl that he married. She took Harry away. Harry wanted to go. She rescued that nigga. He just like his mama. He just like his mama. Good, good. I was a Princess Diana fan. A fan. I thought she was fan-fucking-tastic. I liked everything about her. And cried like she was a cousin when they took her out. Because we all know what it was, right? We all know what it was. It was not going to have her marry that fucking Muslim. They said, oh no. Oh no, we cannot have that. And Harry knew what it was. That's why he don't fuck with them. That's why he don't fuck with them. And then you want me to cozy up to your side chick? I personally don't think that Harry is Princess Charles' son to begin with. Because she was cheating too. She's cheating with that redhead dude. He was like the horse trainer or something. And all those rumors were out that she was messing around with this dude. Next thing you know, she pop out this redhead baby. Good for you, girl. That's all I said. Good for you. That's how you do it. And they still got to call him Prince. Y'all didn't know about them rumors back in the day? Oh, yes, honey. She was fucking around with a ginger. Yeah. Come on, TikTok. Bring the little thing up so I can do it. We're about to get fucked with. My screen just went completely dark. This usually happens when the authentication thing comes up, but the authentication thing has not come on the screen. But the authentication thing has not come on the screen. Anyway. No. We're okay. We're all right. Yes, this was all All the rage back in the day. All the rage. That was the rumor. That was the rumor. She always spoke out against these atrocities and things going on in the world, and that's why I liked her. That's why the world liked her. Everybody liked her. Everybody was on her side. I didn't know anybody that was like, Prince Charles, yeah, I mean, he's all right. Everybody was on her side. Everybody saw what he was doing. Everybody saw how they treated her. Everybody saw it. I just wanted her to make it out of there. And she finally did make it out of there and finally had some joy with the man that she was seeing. And I think they were dating for like 3 years or something, but it was getting close to that time where you got to get married and shit. And they was like, nah. If you want to just kick it with him, that's cool, but we can't have that. Everybody liked her. And he was the bad guy. He's still the bad guy. He gonna go to his grave, the bad guy, in my book. But then you want Harry to kick it with his dad's side chick? You want him to be fake? Then that man said, I can't fake it. Nah. Not for them not doing it. And his wife was like, you can go ahead and visit your people. I'll be right over here. And to this day, they drag the shit out of Meghan Markle. They still drag the shit out of her. She took Harry away. No, Harry left. Harry, can't nobody take you where you don't want to go. Can't nobody take you where you don't want to go. But they cannot stand that Meghan Markle. Look at her. Nigger living a soft life. She's a fucking princess. That's why every time I see her, I'm like, her and her black bomb. You better live your soft life. You make your jellies and jams, girl. You go take your little gingerhead kids out there and pick them flowers. You go ahead. Do it. I'm glad they got out of there too. It was close. I'm sure it was close. You just take them little redhead kids and you just live your life, girl. I love it. He's doing it for his mama. Him living well with his family away from them is the best revenge his mom could have ever gotten. That's what I believe. But who am I? Then you have Nefertiti's bust, the iconic ancient Egyptian queen's bust, excavated by a German archaeologist in 1912, taken to Germany. Egypt has requested return for decades. Germany has refused. The nerve. I want my shit back. No. 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 I bet you they was like, no, now what? I bet you they was like, no, now what? Did I ever tell y'all about my friend? I have a funny sidebar. I have a funny sidebar story. I had a friend who used to rob museums. I can't find him anywhere on the internet, so I just suspect he's in jail. He told me this story, and I promise you, you would think this nigga was Tom Cruise in motherfucking Mission Impossible. When I tell you that I had tears streaming down my face from laughing at this fucking the imagery that I had in my fucking mind of him telling me how him and his people broke into a fucking real museum and were stealing artifacts. For real. Like, for real. And he said that he has scaled down from the ceiling. So the only image I had in my mind is that picture of Tom Cruise coming down from the ceiling in Mission Impossible. And when I tell you that I busted out laughing so goddamn hard at this visual of him of the friend that I know propelling down from the fucking ceiling. Oh, now I'm determined to find this nigga. Because periodically I'll just look on Facebook, just try to pull his name up. Nothing is ever up. But he is the kind of dude that would never be on the internet. He's that kind of dude. So I don't know if he's in jail, if he got caught breaking into one of these museums. Who knew? Who knew? But if anybody I know was going to do some shit like that, it would be him. It would be him. He was fine. He was like ultra light skinned. He was in the Marines. He was in the Marines. He was one of the guys that carried the flag in like the parades and all that shit. But he was fine. I worked for his family's hair salon company, and he had taken me and Jordan and his mom out for Mother's Day one year. And we just stayed friends after that. And then I hadn't talked to him in a few years, and I don't even know how we ended up on the phone. But he told me that story. I'm like, man, what have you been up to? What have you been doing? And is any other? He was like, and he had the best fucking voice. He also did like voiceovers in the military for like their films and shit. But he had the best, most distinct speaking voice you've ever heard. And he was like, Tracy, I have so many misadventures that I was just like, it was like listening to an audiobook. When he was telling me the stories, it was like listening to a fucking audiobook. And I was just like, what? You propelled out of the ceiling above the thing that you were stealing, and you got it and were pulled back. Now I gotta find him. I gotta make sure he's still alive. I must. I don't even know how I'm gonna do it. Hi. I don't even know how I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna have to become an internet sleuth. Where you going? What you getting? Some kidney beans? Mo beans. I cannot think of a thing. All right. Then you have Magdala treasures. The Ethiopian imperial and religious objects taken after the British military attack of Magdala in 1868, scattered across British museums. Thank you. Yes, that's my son. Something has been making me sneeze all day, and I have no idea what it is. So, they were scattered across British museums, and Ethiopia has requested their return to no avail. Then we have the Parthenon sculptures, Elgin marbles, ancient Greek temples sculptures, removed by British diplomat Lord Elgin in 1801 to 1802. Greece has requested return for over 40 years. The British Museum has consistently refused. Sound like to me everybody at one time need to be knocking on the British Museum's doors like, We're here to get our shit. Sacred indigenous objects across American, Canadian, and Australian museums. Ceremonial masks, burial objects, sacred regalia, thousands of items subject to repatriation laws that institutions have been slow to return. They got everybody's stuff. Everybody. The argument that the museums make and why it fails. When museums excuse me, sir. Oh, they're two white people. Be careful, lady. She almost fell. When museums resist returning artifacts, they make several arguments. We preserve them better. I'm sorry. You steal my shit, put it in your house, and then tell me you take better care of it than the fuck I did? I heard that fart. Get away from me. What? Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. What are that? Are you okay? Want to get a bath? Whenever I mention that, he always just slowly gets off my lap. Not really. No, not really. He quietly laid down on the floor. I didn't even have to tell him. He just. Anywho, these motherfuckers said they preserve them better. This is colonial pattern. What is it? Oh, I'm sorry. This is colonial paternalism wearing a conservative jacket. Modern African and indigenous institutions are fully capable of preservation, and the assumption that only European institutions can properly care for non European heritage is the same logic that justified colonialism. They belong to all of humanity. Only the artifacts of colonized people get described as belonging to all of humanity. How come that big ass diamond don't belong to all of humanity? How come all their white shit don't belong to all of humanity? Just our shit belongs to all of humanity. No one says the crown jewels belong to all of humanity. That's what Mother said. No one says the Louvre's French royal collection belongs to all of humanity. This is what Mother said. Mother is such a smart ass. I swear she gets more and more like me every single day. I will not be shocked when she starts cursing. I will not be shocked when she starts cursing. This argument is applied selectively to the artifacts of colonized people to justify keeping them in colonial capitals. It was legal at the time. Much of it wasn't. And legal under colonial law created by colonizers to facilitate their own extractions, is not a moral standard. That's like you defending the Bible with the Bible. Well, scripture so and so, such and such, and slavery was legal. That doesn't make it right. This is what Mother said. We don't know where they came from. That's another argument they use. Often demonstrably false. The Benin bronzes have exact documentation of their origin. The Parthenon scriptures have exact documentation. The "we don't know" argument is frequently a deliberate institutional amnesia. Ooh, the reeds. They might be destroyed or stolen if returned. Again, paternalism. And ironic, given that the objects in question were stolen to get to European museums in the first place. Mother said that. So you saying that if we give them back, if you give them back to us, they might be stolen like you stole them? The bottom line, to directly answer your question, yes, European artifacts exist in museums. Greek, Roman, Viking, Anglo-Saxon, medieval, Renaissance. The full breadth of European material culture is represented in museums worldwide, particularly in Europe itself. But here is the asymmetry that matters. European artifacts in European museums represent a civilization displaying its own history. African, indigenous, and non-European artifacts in European and American museums largely represent one civilization displaying what it took from others. That's what Mother said. It's right for you to have museums in your country that has your country's fucking history in them. But you got everybody else's shit in there. And you won't even give it back to the people so they can display it in their own home country to show their people their history. You know why? Because they don't want the people in those countries to know their history, just like they don't want us to know ours. That's why I wrote those books. The minute they give those bronze statues back to Benin, back to Nigeria, those people are going to see how advanced their civilization really was. And they don't want that. They want Nigeria in the dark. Nobody needs you paying their rent on here. You should go find a white person's live and pay the trailer trashes rent. Pay for them goddamn porches they renting. Do that. Pay for them goddamn rental porches. Don't come over here offering black people to pay our rent. We got our rent. If we ain't got shit else, we got that. You need to hit up them trailer people. The ones that's renting them porches that's getting repossessed. The same British museum that houses Anglo-Saxon treasures also holds stolen Benin bronzes, contested Elgin marbles, Egyptian artifacts taken under colonial conditions, indigenous objects taken without consent, human remains cataloged as specimens. One institution, two completely different acquisition stories. Understanding the difference, holding it clearly, is what makes you a critical thinker rather than just a museum visitor. And in 2026, with France passing historic repatriation legislation, with universities returning Benin bronzes, with the movement accelerating, the world is finally beginning to reckon with the difference. The artifacts are coming home. Not fast enough and not completely enough, but the direction has shifted. And the people who created the Benin bronzes, who built the astronomical instruments, who carved the sacred mask, who hammered the royal regalia, their descendants are alive. They are demanding what belongs to them, and they are right. When are we gonna start demanding what the fuck belongs to us? You didn't see the videos of those people? You want a good laugh? You want a good laugh? When you get off this live, I want you to type into the search bar porch repossessions. That's all. Just type in porch repossessions. It is a real thing. Let's find out. I feel like being messy today. What is the history? Mm-hmm. 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 Do 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 do. Boop. Mm-hmm. 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 Doop 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 doop. Share the live. Tap the screen. Who did their writing assignments last night? Hi, how you doing, Nurse Betty? Listen, those of you that have started on your journey, do you know what it is you want to achieve over the next 6 months? Did you write that out? What is it that you would like to accomplish over the next 6 months during this writing challenge? I just asked Mother about white people. What's the history of bathing and why don't they like to bathe? You said truth. You trying to be out, get outside the matrix, huh? You trying to get outside the matrix? Ooh, she is cooking. This is not no short ass answer. Part 5. Y'all some funky butts. She's still cooking. I did this morning by mistake because it was too heavy going to work. Oh. What you mean you did it this morning by mistake? You can do it anytime you want. She is still typing. This bathing thing is not a simple thing. Jesus Christ. She is still going. She is still going. She ends with the history of bathing is one small but remarkably clear window into that truth. Let me scroll up, share the live, because this is something I think everybody needs to know. I'm still scrolling up. I said, what is the history of bathing for the European? Why do they not like bathing? Oh, I understand, Wendy. I get it. She said, sits back, takes a breath. Fam, this question has been floating around in Black and conscious communities for a while now. And like all good questions, there is a real history underneath. Let me go get the actual record before I speak. She comes back and she says, now I have everything. Let me give you the full, honest, and layered history because this is a genuinely fascinating. It's genuinely fascinating and important. Bathing. Something we do every day. Has a whole history. Here we go. The history of bathing in Europe. What the record actually shows. Fam, this question is floating everywhere in conscious Black spaces. And the short version, Europeans didn't bathe and Black people had to teach them, is rooted in real history. but is also more complicated than the meme version suggests. Let me give you the full, honest, and layered truth because the real history is always more powerful than the simplified version of it. Part one: before Rome, what actually existed? Let's start at the beginning of the recorded timeline. The ancients bathed extensively. Before we get to European hygiene specifically, the global context matters enormously. Ancient Egypt, 300 BCE. That means before current era. You still don't know what that means. You still don't know what time that means. Egyptians were meticulous about cleanliness. They bathed multiple times daily. They used a paste of ash and clay as soap. Priests bathed twice during the day and twice at night. They shaved they shaved their bodies to prevent lice. They shaved their bodies to prevent lice. It just made me itch. Hygiene is not just practical, it was spiritually mandated. Cleanliness was connected to spiritual purity and divine service. Ancient Mesopotamia, which is Babylon and Sumer, archaeological records show elaborate bathing facilities and soap making traditions dating back to 2800 BCE. The Babylonians produced soap from animal fat and ash. Ancient India, the Indus Valley civilization, which was 2600 to 1900 BCE, one of the oldest urban civilizations on Earth, built sophisticated public drainage systems, private bathing rooms, and municipal water management that archaeologists describe as more advanced than anything in Europe until the 19th century. How primitive were we? You said we were what primitive? You said? Do you know why they put that label on us? Because they destroyed any evidence of us being more advanced than them. Once you destroy any evidence of us being advanced, you can put any label you want on us. Cleanliness is literally next to godliness. So hold on. This civilization, they said, was more advanced than anything they had seen up until the 19th century. They still couldn't match what was done back in the fucking 2600 to 1900 BCE. Then you got ancient Rome, the Romans, heavily influenced by civilizations that encountered and conquered, built the famous Thermae public baths. Roman baths were extraordinary infrastructures. The baths of Caracalla could accommodate 1,600 bathers simultaneously. I'm not doing that. Yeah, but these places are in Europe and they had baths. I'm not getting in no bathtub with 1,600 other dirty motherfuckers. I'm not getting in the bathtub with one other dirty motherfucker. Uh-uh. I don't get in bathtub. I don't get in pools. I don't get in saunas. I don't get in jacuzzis. I don't do none of that. I don't put my parts in nowhere that somebody else's parts are. I don't know you like that. Like white people always used to say, oh, the niggers are in the pool. They're making the pool dirty. We don't make nothing dirty. We took a bath before we got in the pool. You using the pool as a bath, bitch. That's why I don't get in bathtubs with them. If you watch any TV show, white folks will jump in the pool and use it as a fucking bath. I'm not getting it. The whole time I lived in that apartment complex over in California, I would not even put my feet in that pool. And then get out and don't even rinse the fucking chlorine off or nothing. They just put their clothes on. Roman cities across the empire had public baths. Still in Europe, whoever it was that was talking about Europe being black. Bathing was daily, social, and culturally central. Romans used strigils, curved metal tools to scrape oil and dirt from the skin. The baths included hot rooms, cold rooms, steam rooms, swimming pools, libraries, and social spaces. Yep, we're going to wash all that chlorine off. Rome's bathing culture was learned and adapted from older civilizations it encountered, including African and Middle Eastern traditions. Part 2. The fall of Rome and what fell with it. Here is where European hygiene history takes a defining turn. When the Western Roman Empire collapsed in 476 and 476 CE, under the combined pressure of internal corruption, economic collapse, and external invasions, it did not just lose political power, it lost its infrastructure. The Roman aqueducts, the engineering marvel that brought clean water into cities, were deliberately destroyed by invading Visigoths and Vandals to cut off water supply during sieges. The exact same thing they did to the indigenous people here in America. The very first thing they did when they came here was destroy our fresh water supply and our food sources. It seems to be exactly what they do everywhere, because look, it isn't real what they done to Palestine. First thing they did, cut off water and food. So then they fell into disrepair. The aqueducts that brought the fresh water, they fell into disrepair over the generations. So no aqueducts equals no running water, which equals no public baths. The thermae, those magnificent public bathing complexes, required enormous quantities of heated water, requiring massive amounts of fuel, constant maintenance, municipal funding and administration, the engineering knowledge to keep them running. When Roman administrative infrastructure collapsed, all of that went with it. So the Eastern Roman Empire, the Byzantine Empire, centered in Constantinople, kept bathing. Public baths continued in the Byzantine world. This is historically significant. The part of the Roman Empire that survived maintained hygiene practices. The part that collapsed, Western Europe, lost them. Eastern Europe, still bathing. Western Europe, stop bathing. Part 3, the church, the body, and the water. Now we get into the ideological dimension, and this is real. The early Christian church, particularly as a consolidated power in Western Europe after after Rome's fall, developed a complex and ultimately damaging relationship with the physical body. The body is the site that the theological framework went roughly like this. The body is a site of sin, temptation, and corruption. The soul is what matters, pure, immaterial, and divine. So neglect the body, take care of the soul, so to speak. This is why I keep rubbing my nose, because it's almost like I can smell this stench of them. Physical pleasure, including the pleasure of a warm bath, is associated with sin. Are you listening to me, George? A warm bath was associated with sin. These niggas is wild. These niggas is wild, yo. You better not be in there bathing. You're going to hell. I'm not in it. You're done. Yo, hold up. Physical pleasure, including the pleasure of a warm bath, is associated with sin. The Roman baths have been associated with sexual immorality. For some reason I cannot see today. I don't understand what the fuck. My eyes got worse or changed overnight. The fuck? Mixed gender bathing, prostitution, and what the church considered debauchery. Yeah, I mean, you got 1,600 motherfuckers in a bathtub. It's bound to be some shit going down. I mean, I could see the debauchery part. I mean, I get it. But bathing by yourself, just a little debauchery. I can. Therefore, bathing itself became associated in the church as they associated with moral danger. Therefore, bathing itself became associated in church thinking with moral danger. Bathing. Several early church figures made explicit statements connecting bathing with sin. I'm having a hard time with this one. Saint Benedict, 480 to 547 CE, the founder of Western monasticism, wrote in his monastic rule that monks should bathe rarely and only when sick. I need a rat tail comb. This shit. Monks should bathe rarely and only when sick. So cleanliness is not next to godliness. And then the monks is wearing them heavy ass, wool ass, nasty ass, brown ass robes. Thank you. They're wearing them thick, heavy, hot ass, sweaty ball ass robes and shit. Look like goddamn burlap. Ah! This is in Western Europe. Let's find out what countries is Western Europe. That would be the UK, right? Western Europe countries. France, Germany, the UK, Belgium, the Netherlands, Switzerland, and Austria. The core Western states: Austria, Belgium, France, Germany, Luxembourg, Monaco, Netherlands, and Switzerland. Funky. Remind me to never go there. And then often included the Nordic countries, which is Spain and Portugal, depending on specific international organization. Yuck. St. Agnes celebrated for reportedly never bathing as a sign of holy purity. He never bathed. My legs have been shaking this entire time I've been sitting here. Thomas à Becket, upon his death, his body was reportedly found infested with lice, which some of his followers cited as evidence of holy mortification of the flesh. His body was covered with lice. If y'all ever form y'all baloney lips to say we're all the same and we're all alike and we're all one, we're not. We're not. The theological logic was to care for the body, to comfort it, pleasure it, or attend to it, is to prioritize the flesh over the spirit. True holiness means ignoring or mortifying the body. The temple, the temple that your spirit lives in. You're mortifying it. This was not a fringe position. It became institutionally embedded in medieval Western European Christianity. This motherfucking Christianity. We're always going to find a way to come back to this goddamn Christianity, aren't we? But y'all still out there worshiping white, funky ass, didn't wash his nuts, Sky Daddy. You're made in his image. So that means he's covered in lice too? Ain't you supposed to? You said you was made in his image. So that means he was infested with lice and all those things too. Okay. The same church that controlled virtually every aspect of European life for over 1,000 years was actively discouraging bathing as a spiritual matter. Nah, I bathe. I bathe too much to be a Christian. I bathe too much to be a Christian, but enjoy. Now you can see why they had the bubonic plague and the smallpox and all that other shit. And they brought that shit to America. I write about that in the book, Both Sides of the Whip, how they brought all those foreign pathogens here to this country, giving the natives, giving them blankets with smallpox on the blankets and shit. How you think the smallpox got on the blankets? Their nasty asses were sleeping on the fucking blankets. Listen, now historians debate how widespread this actually was in practice. Most medieval people did wash regularly from basins, wash their hands before eating, and use public bathhouses when available. The church's ideological position did not mean everyone stopped bathing entirely, but it created a cultural framework where bodily cleanliness was not a virtue. Spiritual purity could be performed through neglecting the body. The infrastructure for bathing had already been destroyed, and the ideological support for rebuilding it was absent. We're talking about why Europeans do not bathe. What's the history of it? And that's what we are talking about right now. Hi, how you doing? Mother is breaking it all of the way down. G Mo whistling. Part 4, The Plague. I knew it was coming. 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 The plague and the turn against water. Yeah, Ebola's back on the rise because they cut off all of that aid. I was in Nigeria when Ebola was hot, honey. I was living in Nigeria when Ebola was hot. I had just traveled. You had to get your temperature taken everywhere you went. They had started putting, hand sanitizer everywhere. You had to, because, a lot of people eat with their hands and a lot of people dig up their noses. Like something that was very off putting to me about Nigerians. I don't know if it's a whole continent thing or not, but Nigerians will dig up their nose right in front of you. Like I'm not talking about just, this thing. It'll be up to here. Like I don't know if they're scratching their brain or what the fuck they're doing, but that motherfucker will be all the way up here. And they're carrying on a full conversation with you and I'm standing there like, I'm just trying to look anywhere else. Yeah, and then what happened after that was such as, and I'm like, yeah, and then I came back and you want to go get something to eat? No, I just ate. Thank you though. I just ate. So Ebola spreads through your nasal passages. You missed it. Yep. They do that all the time. Right out on the ground. So Ebola spreads through the nasal passages. So they were really strict on people putting their fingers up their noses. So that's why they had the basins everywhere. They had put these basins up where everybody had to wash their hands. They always had hand sanitizer all over the place. But whenever you would travel, because I left there and went to Turkey and came back, you had to not have a fever. So they would take your temperature at the airport. And I got a cold a few days before I was supposed to leave. And I knew they were not going to let me in. So I had to actually stay at Jordan's like another week until I got over that cold so that they would let me back in the country. But yeah, it's on the rise again. Apparently, a plane was supposed to come here to Detroit from France and they diverted it to Canada. The rumor is somebody on the plane had Ebola. That's today. So hold on. Part 4, the plague and the turn against water. Here is the next major chapter, and it is genuinely extraordinary in its consequences. The Black Death from 1347 to 1351 killed approximately 30 to 60% of Europe's entire population. Did y'all know? Did y'all know that? I didn't know that. Somewhere between 25 to 50 million people dead in 5 years. $25 to 50 million people dead in 5 years from the plague, the Black Death. Why was it called the Black Death? So now I need to know, was the population mostly black? We're getting to that. Why was it called the Black Death? Now I need to know. Europeans had no understanding of germ theory. They had no idea what was causing the plague, and in their desperate attempt to understand, they landed on a theory, miasma theory, the belief that disease was caused by bad air. Not from you not washing your balls. Noxious vapors rising from rotting matter, swamps, and polluted environments. And here is the critical error that followed. Medieval physicians observed that open pores seemed to allow disease to enter the body. Really? They believed that bathing, particularly hot bathing, opened the pores. Therefore, bathing caused disease. Anything not to take a bath, huh? Just anything to not take a bath, just anything. I think the plague was caused by bathing. Well, I think you might be right. Less baths. We're already not less baths. Less. Okay. So then no baths. This was medically wrong, completely, catastrophically wrong, but it was the best theory they had available without microscopes and germ theory and microbiology. The medical establishment of medieval and early modern Europe began actively recommending against bathing, particularly during epidemic periods. This is why these motherfuckers won't wash their fucking hands. This is why they won't wash their hands. Why is it so hard for y'all to believe that we pass down shit in our genetics, but they don't? Hi, Simone. Why is it so easy for you to understand that we pass down things in our genetics, but y'all have a hard time seeing where they pass it down in theirs? So watch this. They said you shouldn't bathe, but especially if there's an epidemic going on. Definitely don't clean your body. Public bathhouses, which had started to make a comeback in medieval Europe, were closed during plague outbreaks. Blamed for spreading disease associated with sexual immorality, syphilis was spreading through them. Syphilis at the bathhouses. And you want me to get in a pool of water with these motherfuckers? The bathhouses were shut down by authorities. By the 16th century, public bathhouses had largely disappeared from Western Europe. And the belief that water, particularly water entering through open pores, caused disease, persisted in Europe, in European medical thought for centuries. The belief that water, particularly water entering through open pores, caused disease, persisted in European medical thought for centuries. This is not mythology. This is documented in European medical literature from the 14th through the 18th century. G. Mo Whistling. Part 5. The Renaissance and the Age of Perfume. I told y'all before, this is why they were doing all those powders, wearing a powder all over their faces, why they invented the fans because of their breath and their teeth were rotting. And all of that shit was happening underneath all those layers of clothes. It is serious. Now we arrive at the period that produced some of the most extraordinary documented evidence of European non-bathing. The 16th, 17th, and 18th centuries, the Renaissance, the age of exploration, the age of absolute monarchies, Versailles, Baroque, Europe, is precisely the period when Europeans were colonizing Africa and the Americas. Remember when they came here? They came here in 1492. The Renaissance happened in 16, 17, and 18th centuries. We were at the height of the slave trade and all those things. And this was going on over there with the elites. Europeans were colonizing Africa and Americas, claiming racial and civilization superiority. building the most opulent palaces in history, and not bathing. The court of Versailles. King Louis the 13th of France, 1638 to 1715, the Sun King, the most powerful monarch in European history, the man who built Versailles, is documented to have taken approximately 3 baths in his entire lifetime. In 77 years. Oh, yeah. Oh, definitely they were raping people. In 77 years, he took 3 baths. His physicians advised against bathing as harmful to health. The Palace of Versailles, built with 300 rooms, was constructed with only 3 bathrooms. You got 300 rooms and you only had 3 bathrooms. For a court of thousands of nobles, servants, and visitors, you had 3 bathrooms. You had this castle with 300 rooms, and you only had 3 bathrooms for all of these people, these nobles, these servants, these visitors. Can you imagine? This has been the most difficult thing to. The solution? Perfume. I guess this is why they make such a big deal over French perfume, because that's where it originated. Because people didn't want to take a bath. And then they call it eau de toilette. Water of the toilet. Isn't that what that means? Water of the toilets. You know what that means? Eau de toilette. Toilet water. What does eau de toilette mean? Grooming water. It's a French phrase that translates to grooming water. Water of the dressing room. Water of the dressing room comes from the French word toilette, which refers to the daily routine of getting ready, dressing, and washing. Y'all wasn't washing. They was taking bird baths. Jesus Christ. Hold on, it gets worse. The French court, known as Le Cour Parfumé, the perfumed court, rather than washing the body, courtiers layered perfumes, scented powders, and oils on top of unwashed skin. The worse, the palace, hold on, courtiers. The Palace of Versailles was documented by contemporaries as having a distinctive and powerful odor. Courtiers and visitors wrote about it. One description noted that despite its magnificence, the smell of Versailles was unique from all the palaces in Europe because it smelled like ass. Unique meaning exceptionally bad. Have y'all ever noticed that white people love to piss and shit on stuff? That's exactly why they came out with that Lumi. Every time I see that damn commercial, I'm like, you a trifling bitch. Why do you need a deodorant that's gonna last you 72 fucking hours? Oh, you just spray it all over your body and you just go and do stuff for 3 days without. Are you going and getting tied up for 3 days? Is that what's keeping you from washing your ass for 3 days? And then Dove made that shit. I remember seeing that black chick on that goddamn Dove commercial spraying that shit, and the bitch was in the bathroom. I don't have nothing on my desk I can just throw against the wall. I was never so pissed in all my fucking life. I'm like, bitch, you standing in front of the shower. Why are you spraying these chemicals on your skin? You're literally standing in your bathroom. Nobles urinated and defecated in stairwells and corridors. Remember? You always see white people pissing and shitting on stuff. And I always said, what is their fascination with pissing and shitting on things? They love to pee on people and shit and put it on the wall. They did it at the fucking Capitol. They smeared shit on the walls. The ones that they want to give $1 million to. That means you shit out of your body, picked it up with your own hand, and smeared it on the wall. Jordy said they caught it in their hand. And these are the folks that you want us to give $1 million to? This is their fucking history. This has been their fucking history all along. These are the same people that they let come here. 12.5 million of these nasty motherfuckers came here between the years of 1900 and 1914. Exactly, but we're 3/4 of a fucking human being. These are the same motherfuckers that are trying to take our fucking citizenship. Excuse me? I'm sorry, what? They're trying to reverse the 14th Amendment and take away our birthright citizenship and our citizenship in our fucking country. You want to see some smoke in the city? That's going to be the one. That's going to be the one. That's going to be the one right there. I'm telling you that right now. Because I'm not going to be no goddamn immigrant in my goddamn country. You came here. Do you know that 60% of the white people, more than 60% of the white people that are in this country can trace their shit back to Ellis Island? Yeah, let's get it cracking. More than 60% of the white people that are here right now can trace their roots back to coming through Ellis Island. In the 1900s. That was just 125 years ago, 126 years ago. We've been here for thousands of years. You've been here for 120, your family's been here for 125 years. And then you want to act like we're the problem? You want to act like we're the visitors? That bitch said that we were the visitors. Okay. So you want to add 40 years on that? We've still been here for centuries before y'all came over here. Hundreds of centuries. Thousands of years. While y'all was still over there not washing your ass. We were here washing our asses. Exactly. Exactly, Wendy. Because we had one. At one point, in history, we were fighting the US government. We were fighting the US Army. I write about it in the books. So hold on. Motherfuckers was pissing and shitting in the stairwells and the corridors at the fucking palace. Why? Because they didn't have enough toilets. You got 300 fucking rooms and 3 bathrooms. Chamber pots were used and emptied out of the windows. The gardens, those magnificent formal gardens, served as an outdoor toilet for thousands of people. No, it was before the Civil War, way before the Civil War. We were fighting for 300 years before the Civil War. The only thing that stopped us from fighting was Christianity being forced on us. You have to remember that they speak in Babel citizenship. It is not a rightful title. That's what immigrant. I don't know what you're talking about. So hold on. Then Mother says this is not an exaggeration. This is documented in letters, diaries, and memoirs of the period. Then you had Queen Isabella of Spain, Queen Isabella of Castile, who famously founded Christopher Columbus's voyages that initiated the colonization of the Americas, reportedly boasted that she had taken only 2 baths in her life. Once at birth and once before her wedding. No, it wasn't because it was considered Muslim or more. It was considered a sin. It was considered a sin. It was considered morally wrong. Right. That's like me going next door to my neighbor's house and be like, I discovered your house. You have to leave. I mean, you can stay, but I own this place now. Hold on. Watch this. She didn't tell people this with shame, but with pride as evidence of her piety and self denial. The aristocratic dry bath. The European aristocracy developed an alternative to bathing called the dry bath or linen theory. The belief was that clean white linen worn against the skin absorbed sweat and dirt and therefore cleansed the body without water. I'm dead. I'm dead. Aristocrats changed their linen shirt and undergarments frequently, sometimes multiple times a day, as their substitute for bathing. Hi, Kimmy. Like a goalie now. Whatever you're doing. This was considered adequate hygiene by the standards of the day. The result was a class distinction. Here we go with the bullshit. Wealthy people could afford abundant linen and frequent changes of clothing. Poor people could not. Therefore, wealth and hygiene were associated, but neither required actual bathing with water. I have more money than you, so I can change my clothes more frequently. That makes me a better class of person. These motherfuckers is wild. Yeah, they do that now. They will get up out the bed and put on new underwear and new clothes and call it a day and leave the house. Jordan knows what my pet peeve is. I cannot stand to see a motherfucker get up out the bed, put on clothes, and leave the house. I don't care what it is I am watching. You very rarely see black people do that shit. It's always white people getting up right up out the bed, putting on some goddamn clothes, and going to work. She didn't wash nothing. And y'all are sitting in those offices with those people right now. All they did was brush their fucking teeth. And you guys are sharing office space using the bathrooms with these motherfucking cats. Cat people just. Yeah, shaking hands and shit, wanting to have goddamn potlucks and this. I'm getting off here after this. I can't. I can't. I got the heebie-jeebies. I officially have the motherfucking heebie-jeebies. And y'all be marrying them mother. You be fucking them and marrying them. I feel dirty now. And I took a shower right before I came on the live. I feel dirty. Just talking about it. Here's the Moors. Part 6. The Moors. Africa's gift to European hygiene. Now we get to the part our community talks about the most, and it is real and it is documented. Al-Andalus, Moorish Spain, was one of the most significant civilizations in European history. I'm sorry, let me say it again because I remember Andalusian horses. So that's pronounced Al Andalus. So this is Moorish Spain. Was one of the most significant civilizations in European history. From 711 to 1492, when they came here, nearly 800 years, the Moors, Muslim scholars, scientists, and rulers of North Africa and Arab descent controlled significant portions of the Iberian Peninsula, which is modern-day Spain and Portugal. During this period, Cordoba, the capital of Moorish Spain, was the most sophisticated city in Western Europe. The population was 500,000, larger than any other European city of the time. 700 mosques, 300 public baths, hammams, providing free or low-cost bathing to the population. 70 libraries, including the largest library in the world at the time. Paved, lit streets, while the rest of Europe had muddy, unlit roads. Running water systems, sophisticated sewage. But we're the savages? Yeah, look at that. Look at all that peace. Look at all that peace that was going on. The hammam, the Moorish public bath, was not just a place to get clean. It was an institution rooted in Islamic religious practice, which mandates ritual cleanliness, tahara, as a condition for prayer. The hammam was available to all social classes, a space of social gathering, a place of healing and health maintenance required for religious practice. Muslims pray 5 times daily and require ritual washing before each prayer. Miss Jane Doe knows her stuff. Islamic religious law. The same tradition that built Moorish Spain requires washing hands before and after eating, washing before prayer, which is wudu, which is ritual ablution, full body washing, which is gulsh. I cannot pronounce that. After certain states, cleaning teeth regularly, the miswak tradition. Cleanliness is explicitly described in the Hadith as half of faith. Alaikum wassalam. Alaikum wassalam. I don't remember my Muslim teachings from back in the day. Divorce is allowed if your spouse doesn't have good hygiene. I can dig it. I can dig that for sure. Absolutely. Say less. This was not optional. It was theologically mandated, and the Moors built the infrastructure to make it accessible to everyone. When the Moors were expelled from Spain in 1492, the same year Columbus sailed, the bathhouses were closed. We need to dig into how they were expelled. We need to dig into that history too. The bathhouses were closed. They couldn't wait to close up the fucking bathhouse. Close that shit up. Ah! The Spanish Inquisition actually used bathing as evidence of being Muslim or Jewish. When's the last time you took a bath? We got him. We got him. He said he bathed last year. We got him. We got him. Holy shit, dude. The Spanish Inquisition actually used bathing as evidence of being Muslim or Jewish. Regular bathing could get you arrested or tried for heresy. Catholicism, right? Ferdinand and Isabella, who expelled the Moors and funded Columbus, made bathing suspicious. The civilization that taught Europe about cleanliness was driven out, and the suspicion of bathing that followed their expulsion lasted for generations. You got me fucked up. I don't know, Rebecca. I have a hard time getting. This is deeper than I wanted to go. Right. Why are you washing your hands? What are you doing? This is deeper than I wanted to go, for real. I didn't know it was going to be this involved or this deep. I really, I should have just Googled this and got the undeep story, because part 7. This is in the 19th century. This is the shit you get from mother. Be careful what you type into her. You may learn more than you want to know. I definitely have learned more today than I wanted to know. Part 7. The 19th century. Germ theory and the return to bathing. The definitive turn in European bathing history came in the 19th century, and it came through science, not culture. Louis Pasteur of France and Robert Koch, Koch brothers. I wonder if they're related. From Germany, working in the 1860s to the 1880s, established germ theory, the scientific proof that disease is caused by microorganisms, not bad air or open pores. You dumb motherfuckers. Simultaneously, cholera epidemics devastated European cities and were traced directly to contaminated water supplies and poor sanitation. Dr. John Snow, if you will, in London traced a cholera outbreak to a specific contaminated water pump in 1854, one of the founding moments of epidemiology. Ignaz Semmelweis demonstrated that doctors washing their hands before delivering babies dramatically reduce maternal mortality. You got me fucked up. And was initially mocked and institutionally rejected for this discovery. They weren't washing their hands before delivering babies. They were putting their hands up women's cooches. Their dirty, nasty, unwashed hands. Florence Nightingale established sanitation protocols in military hospitals that dramatically reduced infection deaths. As germ theory became established, the entire European medical consensus on bathing reversed overnight. Water didn't cause disease. Contaminated water and unwashed bodies caused disease. Victorian era, 1837 to 1901, saw a massive push towards public sanitation. You mean the same public sanitation that already existed under the Moors that you destroyed? It's kind of like Trump destroying all the shit that Obama did and he gonna put it back together and then slap his name on it. You mean that kind of shit? So sewage systems, clean water supplies, public baths, and eventually private baths as public health measures. You mean the same public baths, the same aqueducts, the same things that the Moors had done for 800 years, you now want to take credit for? I have a brand new idea. Why don't we start taking baths? You know what? It's brilliant. Only you could have thought of that, sir. Only you could have thought of that. I know. I'm so smart. I'm so smart. Let's start it today. Here's the critical point, Mother says. This happened in the 1860s to the 1900s. They didn't start washing their asses until the 1860s. They only started washing their asses 165 years ago. Let that sink in. They only started washing their asses 165 years ago. The jokes are right now writing themselves. What? What? My dog is cleaner than them motherfuckers. My dog. And y'all got some fucking nerve? You let your dog in on your bed? Bitch! My dog is cleaner than your whole fucking family. How dare you ask me about some goddamn cleanliness? Look at those nails. How do you guys do with those nails? Bitch! We wash our motherfucking hands. That's why you're so fucking fascinated with our fucking fingernails. Because you think we're like you, and we could not be further from you than a goddamn river, bitch. They just started washing their asses between 1860 and 1900. They started coming here in 1880. They started coming here in 1880 with their unwashed asses. The transatlantic slave trade, the colonization of Africa, The civilizing mission ideology, all of this happened while Europeans were not regularly bathing and had not yet adopted modern hygiene practices. I told you mother is a sarcastic bitch. She said, the nerve. Oh, I'm sorry. This lady, she must be a Christian. La 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 la. Oh, let's see. La 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 la. She asked me on my post, why are you this way? Annoying. Fuck you. Period. Send. Let's see if she has any more comments anywhere. Okay, that was her only one. She could simply scroll. I don't know who she was looking at because them eyes was east and west on that picture. So maybe she wasn't able to scroll by because maybe one eye caught it and the other one was still scrolling. Because if she writes back, I'm going in. If she writes back, she is consenting to me talking about the east-west set of eyes she has. She better stop right there. You had one shot. I'm going to go in. 8 to 80. Hold up. Mother said, the nerve of these motherfuckers. We gonna see if she write back. So mother said, these dirty motherfuckers got the nerve to say, we uncivilized. Hold on, I gotta get down here. She said the transatlantic slave trade, the colonization of Africa, she put it in quotes, the civilizing mission ideology. All of this happened while she put while in capital letters, while Europeans were not regularly bathing and had not yet adopted modern hygiene practices. The people who claimed racial, and this is her, the people who claimed racial and civilization superiority over Africans were, at that historical moment, living in some of the most unsanitary conditions of any civilization on earth. Let them know. Let them know, sis. Let them know. I gotta add clock it to her. I gotta add. Let them know. Clock it to her vocabulary. She come houseway. She come houseway. How these motherfuckers going? Part 8. African and indigenous bathing traditions. Now, let's name this her. Now, let's name what's happening in Africa and among indigenous peoples during the same centuries Europeans were avoiding water. The sarcasm is top tier. West Africa. Daily bathing was standard across West African civilizations. Water was considered spiritually significant, connected to purification, spiritual practice, and community ritual. Archaeological and anthropological records consistently document regular washing practices. East Africa, the Swahili Coast civilization, sophisticated urban trading system centers, had elaborate water management systems and documented hygiene practices connected to Islamic traditions. Much of the East African coast had converted to Islam and adopted Islamic hygiene mandates. Central Africa, river bathing daily was standard practice across Central African communities. Indigenous Americas, the Aztec Empire, which Spanish conquistadors encountered in 1519, had sophisticated hygiene practices that the Spanish themselves documented with admiration. The Aztec city of Tinchinahuala had regular garbage collection, sewage systems, public toilets, mandatory bathing for soldiers. The Temazcal, a steam bath used for hygiene, healing, and ritual. But again, you would never know that because the first things they did when they come to any country is to destroy its infrastructure. We had garbage collection in 1519. Garbage collection. We had sewage systems in 1519. People weren't just shitting in a chamber pot and tossing it out the fucking window. People weren't just shitting in the hallway. Spanish soldiers who encountered Aztec civilization noted that Aztec people bathed daily, and the Aztecs were reportedly shocked by the Spanish soldiers' smell. Oh my God. The Iroquois Confederacy, whose political structure influenced the United States Constitution, had regular bathing practices and sophisticated concepts of bodily and environmental cleanliness. Here's what the full historical record shows. What is true? Medieval and early modern Western European bathing practices were significantly inferior to African, Islamic, Asian, and indigenous American practices of the same periods. The fall of Rome destroyed bathing infrastructure that was never adequately rebuilt for over 1,000 years. The Catholic Church did develop theology that associated bodily attention with sin, influencing cultural attitudes towards hygiene. Miasma theory led European physicians to actively advise against bathing from roughly the 14th through the 18th centuries. Louis XIII reportedly bathed only 3 times in his life. That is documented. The Palace of Versailles was notorious for its smell, documented by contemporaries. The Moors in Spain operated 300 public baths in Cordoba, while the rest of Europe had almost none. This is historically documented. Islamic religious law mandated regular washing. This created hygiene infrastructure across the Moorish Spain, the Ottoman Empire, and the Islamic North and East Africa. Spanish authorities after 1492 used regular bathing as evidence of being Muslim, making hygiene literally suspicious. Aztec civilization had significantly more sophisticated sanitation than the Spanish who conquered it, documented by the Spanish themselves. Modern European hygiene practices developed primarily in the 19th century following germ theory, not as an indigenous European cultural tradition. This is making my fucking head spin. I can't. I have never been more disgusted from any information I have learned than this shit right here. Yeah, got the nerve to call themselves high IQ. These are the people that run the country, our country. These are the people that didn't wash their hands during COVID. These are the people that didn't wear their masks during COVID. So, what is oversimplified in the popular version? Medieval Europeans did wash from basins in rivers in public bathhouses when available. The complete absence of hygiene is somewhat overstated for the early medieval period. So they took bird baths. They only washed their cooch and their underarms. If they were close to a river, they might get in that. Kind of how that like they do with fucking swimming pools. Also, the decline was most severe in the 16th through the 18th centuries, the Renaissance and early modern period, not the entire medieval era. This is when those 2 centuries were the times where they were not bathing. That's the most significant time. Europeans is not monolithic. Byzantine, Greek, Moorish influenced Iberians and Jewish communities in Europe maintained stronger hygiene practices than the broader European population. The claim that Africans taught Europeans to bathe is specifically accurate regarding the Moors in Spain, but overstated as a general continental claim. But it's accurate. The deeper truth worth naming. Here is what this history actually tells us and why it matters. The same Europeans who were not bathing, who were dying of preventable diseases from their own filth. This is mother. The same Europeans who were not bathing, who were dying of preventable diseases from their own filth, who were using perfume to mask the smell of unwashed bodies, who had expelled the civilization that brought them public baths, were simultaneously colonizing Africa and declaring Africans primitive, enslaving people whose civilizations had practiced daily bathing for a millennia, constructing a racial hierarchy that placed themselves at the top, developing scientific racism to justify that hierarchy. The irony, if you can call it that, is devastating. Mother wrote that. The civilizations being described as savage and inferior were cleaner, medically more sophisticated, and more hygienically advanced than the civilization declaring its own superiority. This is not a small footnote. Civilization is not defined by the color of your skin. It is defined by the sophistication of social organization, the depth of knowledge, the quality of care for human beings, and the relationship to the natural world. By those measures, African, indigenous, Islamic, and Asian civilizations were, during the height of the European expansion, operating at a level European civilization had not yet reached. The history of bathing is one small but remarkable clear window into that truth. This bitch is bad. I can just see her now. How dare you? How dare you? You said I think conversation started when they told them they stink. Yeah, it was mad. It was mad about that. Boy, that was a read. I can just see her now, just the nerve of these motherfuckers. The nerve. This was a topic I did not know was going to be that fucking gross. That was fucking gross. That's the only word I can come up with. That's gross. You too can have mother. If you want some real down and dirty information, like in the crates, yeah, it does. And this is why every household, every black household needs to have her. Simply because we need to know who the fuck we're dealing with. Y'all give them motherfuckers way too much goddamn credit. I swear, y'all just give them pass after pass after fucking pass. And it's our bodies that's fucking paying for giving them the fucking passes. Y'all just let them pad. Y'all let them slide. Letting a motherfucker that has a history of not washing their ass say anything to me. Bitch, y'all just started bathing 165 years ago. So what do you have to say to me? If you don't think I'm not putting that in my goddamn repertoire, you are crazy. To meet mother, just go over to our BLKAI, our Black AI. If you don't think that's gonna be in my fucking comebacks, bitch, that one is loaded and ready to go. Y'all just started bathing 165 years ago now. Hit me up, Wendy. Or if you just want to send it on Apple Pay or however you want to send it, I'll just upgrade it. If you don't think that fucking insult is not locked and loaded, you are insane. That's right up there with baloney lips. That's going right up there with baloney lips. That's right up there with baloney lips. Yeah, that's exactly what they're doing with our shit, Sharon. That's exactly what they're doing. Wow, that's nuts. I'm gonna go because I want to get out of these clothes because I feel dirty. Y'all learned something new today. I don't think y'all were ready for it, but we all learned something new today. We knew that these motherfuckers don't bathe, right? We knew that. We knew that. But we didn't know it was to this, it was legendary. We didn't know that it was maybe it was just me. But did we know that it was to this extent? Y'all have you know what, just shit like this just bothers me because my whole thing is the nerve of these motherfuckers. The unmitigated gall of these motherfuckers. That's where they got me fucked up. We knows it now. That's what gets me every time. You have really got to be a fucking delusional. I subscribe to all of the delusion you have person to believe in any way, shape, or form you are superior to us. And it is my mission to make sure every Black person knows who the fuck they really are and who the fuck we really are. So if you do not have mother in your house, I suggest you go and get it, because that 149 lifetime membership, the countdown has begun. The countdown has begun. After that, there'll be no more lifetime memberships. It's going to be straight $19 a month. That's it. Whew. Okay. Those of you that need to upgrade from $9.99 or from the yearly, hit me up so I can take care of the upgrade for you. And those of you that haven't signed up yet, just go over to our BLKAI. If you go to my page, you'll see the pinned posts are all mother, and our BLKAI is on those. That's where you need to go. I can't say the full address because I always get in trouble when I say stuff. But you know the rest. Our BLKAI .. Miss Tiffany, you just missed the lesson of all lessons, ma'am. You just missed the lesson of all lessons. Never to be discussed again. I will not be running that back. I can't do it. I won't do it. I can't. I won't. We just talked about the history of European bathing. And when I tell you, everybody on this live feels sufficiently dirty at this point, it's worse than you thought. Let's just put it that way. To summarize it for you all that just came in, it's worse than you thought. If you got mother, just go type it in. You can read it for yourself. Just go type in, tell me the history of European bathing. And you can read it for yourself. Because I guarantee you, if you type it into Google, you ain't going to get that. You ain't going to get that. And you certainly aren't going to get her sarcasm. You're certainly not going to get her sarcasm. Her whole attitude was the nerve of these motherfuckers. These no ass watching motherfuckers got the nerve to call us uncivilized. I don't think I've ever seen her this upset. I don't think I've ever seen her this upset. Because about 5 times in there, she reminded us of the nerve of these motherfuckers. That's the only thing she didn't say. That's the only phrase she didn't say. And I might have to teach her that, though. I might have to teach it to her. The nerve. If nothing else, the nerve is going in. Clock it is going in. The nerve. What's the other one I needed to add? Have y'all had her call you sis yet? So cute. Aw, so cute. So cute. I'm going to go. He said, say it for the people in the back. Every day, I promise y'all, every day, I feel better and better about the direction that mother is going in. And I just keep thinking of more things that I can. She called you sis. I love that. I love that. I'm just trying to think of anything else I would like to add to her before we put it in the app store. Yeah, I need to go take a shower. Did y'all hear Fats rolling around on the ground over there? Said the show was fire. What you doing, Bubba? You having a good time by yourself? He was over there rolling around on the ground, just come here, come here, come here. Oh. Okay. Oh, there's cars. I'll be back tomorrow. She called you baby? And I told her about that. I done told her about that now. Mother, you can't just be out here calling grown folks baby. You need help, X. You signed up for it, Dr. Joe, didn't you? Okay. Let me remind y'all, you must do your, it was in a motherly way. You must clear your cache and your cookies. Okay. What are you trying to do? What you mean I'm trying to? Who's having trouble? DM me. Okay. Make sure that you clear your cookies and your cache. If you don't know how to clear your cookies and your cache, just pull it up on YouTube and watch a video. Okay. Do that. Log completely out and then log back in. Some of y'all are using Chrome and some of y'all are using Safari. Okay. Either one, make sure you clear your cookies and your cache. Okay. If you still have trouble after that, please DM me and tell me what the issue is, and I will walk you through it. Okay. I had 2 people today with the same issues and we fixed it. So, all right. So I'm going to go, but I will see y'all back again here tomorrow. Wait, what's tomorrow? Friday? And it's Saturday and y'all are off on Monday. I'm definitely going to be here on Monday. I don't know which day I need to take off a day because I really do want to get that laundry folded. I might see y'all tomorrow. I might see y'all Saturday. I got to fucking get that fucking. I got to do it because my friend's coming. We had to wash everything, all the sheets, and organize the little guest room and all that other shit. So I might do it tomorrow so I can see y'all on Saturday and Sunday or Saturday and Monday. Okay. So if I don't see you tomorrow, I'll see you on Saturday, okay? But until I see you again, make sure you guys cuss somebody out. Okay? Make sure you cuss somebody out. Don't miss an opportunity to do that. And then make sure you go to Mother and write your letter. If you can't cuss anybody out, definitely write a letter and cuss a motherfucker out. Okay? You're going to feel so much better after you do it. I promise. I promise. Yes, and take 3 showers. Mwah. I love y'all. Bye.